binder, and he said, I want to digitize this. Okay. So what he had was, he had a year-long project called Adopt a Country. And it was filled with essays, written, first handwritten, then you went to Microsoft Word, and then they printed them out, and they had this binder, this collection of their research of a country. So back then, I didn't have Google, and we still went digital. And it took a lot of thinking, work, effort to figure out how the different pieces were all going to be digitized and where we were going to store it and place it. Where was this binder going to be? First we thought a database would work. And then I thought, well, you know, a database is so boring. And how are we going to digitize everything? We're just going to have all these word process documents and we'll collect them somewhere. So back then, students didn't have email accounts. So to create wikis, I had to create the wiki for every single student because we didn't have the ability for them to have their own account because they didn't have email. We didn't have a hosted solution, so we started working with wikis, and then I had to physically set up each wiki for 200 kids, and then post the link somewhere, and then teach them how to get in and use a wiki that they were never going to use in any other class. So we had quite a bit of challenges. And digital was great. It seemed like we were making progress, and it was kind of good for the students, and it was kind of good for the teachers, but the students were frustrated. It was a tremendous amount of work for them, and it was a tremendous amount of work for me and the teacher to go digital. So still, technology is still interfering. It's taking up too much time. It's taking too much away from the actual point of what we're doing. So I used step-by-step instructions, and they changed all the time, and the students weren't retaining anything, digitally speaking. It wasn't like they were using the wiki or transferring the skills somewhere else. So it really was, it was good. We felt like we were making progress, but I didn't see the longevity of it. And then came a sweet opportunity. Google Apps comes into play. So our district goes Google. We adopt Google Apps for Education, and we get a domain, and we give all the teachers and all the students accounts. Now we have docs, spreadsheet, presentation, forms, drawings, sites, YouTube, all in this collaborative, interconnected community. That is a huge opportunity for us. And so what I want to show you, how this is portfolio. I know that the session is portfolio, so you're going to get portfolio out of this session. But you're also going to see how that Chromebook can easily be deployed in a school, how you can live in the cloud, because Google provides all these tools that allow you to create digitally rich environments without ever needing a hard drive or an operating system. So Project Adopt a Country goes Google, and this is a screenshot of a Google site, and on the left-hand side is a year-long progression of learning. Now students adopt a country. They pick a country to study, and throughout the year they create projects, essays, graphs, digital presentations, and they collect all of it in this portfolio. Throughout the year they reflect on everything they do. They write thoughtful annotations of all the work that they do, and at the end of the year they do this nice summary on the home page, and so they end up with a portfolio. They end up with a collection of their year-long work. They end up having really strong digital skills, and they have a website when they're done. They know how to produce a website. There's a lot of learning going on with this. Now, as I talk about Project Adopt a Country, this is the reason why I like to show this, is you can take this concept and apply it to first grade or 12th grade, science, math, social studies, it doesn't matter. So whatever area you're responsible for, if you're a tech leader, you can package this idea up, use it in your district with a variety of different teachers, curriculum departments, you name it. So they start out, first day, I say, okay, here, make your site. They get a template, and they log in the first first assignment they do is done right in the Google site. And they write why they selected their country, what they already know, and what they want to know. So they start to think critically about their journey, and this could be applied to anything they're doing. We are also teaching them how to edit their portfolio, day one. They know how to log in, they know how to edit, they know how to put in an image, they know how to cite the image. So we're teaching digital literacy at the same time. Citizenship, sorry. We use Google Docs, and another reason why I like to showcase this is because we use all the applications in the Google Drive. Docs, spreadsheet, forms, presentation. So here, they start out with a basic Word document where, back in the old days, they hand wrote essays. Then they used Microsoft Word, and now they use Google Docs. So still in the cloud, they write their essay, and then we show them their learning. We use the research tool in Google Docs as they research, cite their sources, create an essay. They save it in their Google Doc, and then that first day we show them how to share it. Make sure you share your doc before you put it in your portfolio, and then we show them how to embed it in their page. We use Google Spreadsheet. So then the students take their statistical information, they put it in a spreadsheet, they graph it, and then, again, they're always reflecting on whatever they're producing. We teach them, as they're producing artifacts, they're going to put it out there somewhere, and they just can't throw an artifact into a portfolio without identifying its value and explaining it. So everything they do, you can see a little at the bottom. If they do a chart, they need to annotate it. They need to tell the audience what's the purpose of it and what does it mean. So they're demonstrating their understanding at the same time. And the whole time they're doing this, they know they're publishing, so they're engaged. We do travel journal, and this is where the universal design for learning and differentiated instruction comes into play, because now students get a choice. Some students choose to do a travel journal. They pretend they went to their country and they write a journal. On day one, I went here, and they talk in the first person. Some students like to talk in a more, they like to do a research project, so they do a travel itinerary. So that they speak to somebody as if they're selling them a tour. We give them options on how they deliver their information, and then their options on producing something. So they can use, it doesn't matter if they use a Google Doc, if they use a presentation or create a video, they have a choice. We also use Web 2.0 tools. So throughout the year, they get a choice. We'll give them ideas. We'll say, hey, you can make a blog. How many people have heard of blogs? Does anyone use Blogster? Okay. It's really popular in the States in learning. But we find other things too. So for timelines, we search for things online that they can do, which we traditionally have done in a Microsoft Word document. So we're trying to shake it up and find different ways for them to expand their skills at the same time. So we find, like Timepost does, interactive timelines. But we still stick with the drawings for the maps. And by doing this, we teach students how to get the physical into the cloud. So we still have physical items that we work with, some things that have already been produced, but students do still draw. They still do create things that we touch. And we teach them how to get that, no matter what it is, into the digital world. They might scan it, they might use a document camera, but that's part of the learning too. And this requires a lot of bandwidth. The project instills so much creativity. These students did this on their own time. It's a cultural collage. So they could have done a PowerPoint. They could have done a Word document with pictures and talked about the country. But they chose to do a video. And they spent their own free time doing it. what we're just hearing about, how creativity, how you can give them time and they'll rise to the occasion. And this really does hold true. Now, students learn, create, and share, and GAF serves as the hub. Google Apps for Education is the hub for all of this. They log in, they have email, they have Google Docs, and I'm going to show you all that. I just wanted this just to give you a preview. However, the teachers, myself included, use the same tools for instruction. And I'm going to walk you through my site. But the idea is that this is built first. They can't do any of that until we build models for them and we have the online resources. So now that they're working in the cloud, the instruction's in the cloud as well. Students don't have to come and sit and listen to me talk, ever. As a matter of fact, this project is going right now in the United States, and those teachers of social studies did not do any of this work. I did it. I created it, I updated it, I developed the project. That's what I do. I support the technology. They're teaching social studies. The kids are doing this project right now, and I'm not coming to the class anymore teaching them, click here, click there, click there. We have what's called an instruction site. So 2012-13 this year, they have a link to a finished product. I feel very strongly, I know that sometimes giving students an example of a finished project will curb creativity. But if you don't give them a vision of where they need to go, that can really sculpt them as well. So I like to provide a finished example. I always encourage them to go beyond. And some do. Some actually do. And some just say, oh, that's what it needs to be, but at least they're getting that baseline learning. So I like to use examples. We also provide on the site, for each assignment, we do an instruction page, a rubric, and an example of that product. And we use YouTube. So I'll show you that. We have a YouTube channel. I'll do screencasting, load it on the channel, and I'll send them a quick email. If a student emails me and says, Mrs. Malika, I don't know how to embed my blog, here's the video. And they just watch the video and then they go to it. We use the announcements. It's early in the year, so they're just getting warmed up. And I'll show you real quick. Let's go to that page. I promised myself I'm not going to get distracted though. But I want to point out here, this is the actual site, and we can also use our own.
How these areas relate in compared to that of the United States. This project is technology-rich and is intended to increase your skills and abilities to research, analyze, and synthesize information and represent your understanding in various formats. There are many technology projects and choices for you throughout the year.
Now, I do that because they don't read. Our kids don't love to read. They're not going to sit down and necessarily read that site, but they will click play.
Adopt a Country is a year-long project.
So this gives them a little snippet of what the project's like. But sometimes I'll use a Voki. If I want to teach them something, I will use a Voki to teach them because they'll listen to the avatar more than they'll listen to me. So I use these as instructional tools as well.
I use that when I teach here too, but I use that when I'm having a supply teacher. So the kids get myself out there saying, well, boys and girls, the supply teacher will be telling you how great you were, etc. So
oh, that's
really works with them.
Okay. So I guess what I'm saying is the Google Apps suite, the kids use it, the teachers use it, it's one-stop shopping. And yes, I'm sorry, this video got in the way. But I think this is an example of one of the instructional videos. Yeah. So this is one I made last year. How to log in and access their portfolio. So it goes through step by step how they get there. We use email. We have the website. Throughout the year, we'll embed a Google Calendar in the instruction page and put the deadlines for different projects. And it's more of a self-paced project too. We have deadlines, but they're not sharp deadlines because it's one of those things where students create this portfolio throughout the year to demonstrate learning, and they're allowed a little flexibility. So we'll say, oh, we want it done by this date, but if it's not, there's no penalty. They get it in. So it's kind of nice because it's shifting the way we think about education at the same time. So now that we have Google Apps, we're leveraging the Google Apps for education. If you can deploy the idea of using your baseline Google products, your docs, your spreadsheet, your presentation, things you would traditionally rely on a computer for, and think, wow, any device, Chromebooks, tablets. If you can get your students using more of these core applications, you really are broadening, you're freeing yourself. You don't have to be tethered to a network or to a machine. So we're leveraging Gap, we're leveraging the cloud, we're tying together technology and portfolio. So at this time, they're learning, they're creating, they're sharing, and they're making portfolios. So we're teaching them how to create portfolios without teaching them how to create portfolios. And as a result, the idea is, over time, they'll learn to create them on their own. Project-based learning. So, ready to get started? I want to show you some things. Now, does anybody have any feedback or thoughts on this? Does it sound, does anyone want to share anything, I guess is my question. Yes?
Yeah, we still have a class for the 6th grade students who just wrote out a little bit on
Each year, it gets a little easier because I learned something new. Last year, I didn't know about assignment collectors. Does anyone know what an assignment collector is? Yes?
No.
It's a form. It's just a Google form, and that's what you just saw. The kids paste the link in a form, and it collects everything in a spreadsheet. So the Google Forms enable all those links to go into the spreadsheet. It's simple, but I didn't think of it before, so I was manually putting everything on. Project planning. So if you're interested in doing something like this, you need to know what your project is and what your outcomes are going to be. And you need to think about that first. What exactly do you want to do? Do you want to do a mini project? Do you want to do a portfolio of science labs? Do you want to do a writing portfolio? And I've worked with teachers on the writing portfolio piece where they do learning over time. So you have a writing portfolio like the Adopt a Country site, and students put in work at the beginning of the lesson, they learn, and then they put their work at the end of the lesson. It might be the beginning of the quarter, the end of the quarter. So once you define what you want to do, then you're ready to start working on it. But the purpose will impact the design of the template that you provide and the requirements. Now, the most time-consuming part of doing any of this is building it, determining what your content will be, building your template, building your instruction site, building your rubrics. But once it's done, you can use it year after year after year. You can just make a copy of your site each year and update it, and you can have the past and the future. Once you start building these projects and using them, it's done for you next year. So it's so easy to do. So what you want to do is you want to build a template that's a skeleton, that's what I just showed you, for students so that when they go into sites, they click on create, they grab a template, and they're ready to go. Because you don't want them reinventing the wheel. If you give them a free-for-all and say, okay, create a Google site, and we're going to make a portfolio, then they're struggling just to the design work and the layout and elements. So build a template, create your instructions, build a sample, and build your instruction site. I'm going to walk you through all that. But what happens in the classroom is the first day they make the portfolio, they go into sites, they click on create, they grab the template, and they hit select, and then they create the portfolio. It's like, done. The first day we talk about sharing. So you get to really, Google is about sharing, and the docs are shareable, presentations are shareable, sites are shareable. So it gives us a great opportunity to talk to them about sharing, what sharing options they have, and what happens to it when they choose certain options. And I'm a firm believer in teaching kids at a young age. Hey, this belongs to you, and obviously you have to share it with your teacher, but you don't have to share it with the whole world if you don't want to. And I like doing that at a young age so they can start thinking about what they want to put out there and why they might want something to be public and why they might not. This is an assignment collector. So students put their last name in, first initial, portfolio or project name, this would be the country and the link. And then the teacher gets this. So by the students passing it in the pre-assessment that I actually haven't looked at yet, the guest book that I asked you to sign does the same thing. It's just a Google form.
You know that you can't get into the guest book? I'm clicking onto it and it's saying, oops, something went wrong.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not accepting.
It's no longer accepting.
Okay, I'm going to take a 2-minute break. I also created an assignment collection form. Now, this is beautiful because one of the challenges teachers have with these portfolio-based projects is you have to go to the portfolio and go to each individual assignments to assess it. And so what I set up this year is they have the portfolio collection, but they also have something called an assignment collector. And you can see that all the assignments are listed here, but you can modify a form anytime you want. So if you add another assignment, you can just add it to the drop-down list in the form. And what the students do is they select the assignment, they paste the link in, and then the teacher has all the assignments for this particular project or class all year long that they can sort and just click link to look at those assignments. The other thing I like to recommend is that the minute students start their assignment, they share it with the teacher and submit it, not at the end, but the minute they create it, which allows the teacher to give formative and feedback, formative assessments and feedback throughout the process, so the teacher can log in and get right in the doc and leave comments as they're working on it. And then we use a reflection survey at the end of the year, and throughout the year I'll give the kids a survey and ask them how they're feeling about the project and get feedback on it, and at the end we do more involved reflection on it.
Can I ask you?
Please.
I can see a lot of advantages to this. I want to check whether or not I'm understanding one thing. It seems as though this is predicated on everybody being on Google Apps, not being on any other system, and the school, everybody has to have the email from this system. I mean, they've got to stop the emails that they have. If you're starting from scratch, this is phenomenal. If you're
Adopt a country because it's so easily packaged to anything and you can use it with any curriculum. However, I'm also